This video is going to go into many directions, I think, because I don't have a certain specific idea, but I have many things on my mind. First of all, I just came back from the city where I've been for 1 week, and it's just reinforced my experience of the city being a freaking... it's like I could call it like a pit of obliteration. It's like you go into the city and you freaking forget yourself to a degree or another. It's just like a pit, but or like a a pot of sorts, but you're, instead of being boiled alive or anything, one is just simmering more and more in deeper and deeper states of forgetfulness. It's just everywhere. The noise of the environment in the city is just so much noise, so much pervasive noise everywhere. It just disrupts our natural thinking capacities and our natural brainwaves. Because in order to think properly, our brain would have to be in this internal state of some balanced mental state. But this balanced mental state is not only psychical, it's also physical. You have to have the right brainwaves in order to be able to think properly. But in the city, our brainwaves are constantly messed up with. Our brainwaves and our brain is constantly disturbed. So we can never truly think properly because all these noises, they create segmentations almost like, or interruptions in our natural thinking process. And then you have the smells of the chemicals and the pollution, which again alters our, the chemical balance within our body. All that pollution and all that polluted air is just like messing up with our hormonal system, and then the hormones are in such direct, again, connection with the brain and the thinking ability. So when our hormonal system is messed up with, our mind is also messed up with. So, and then you have the people around, which they are emitting all day long this invisible type of energetic, really harm, energetic goo. It's just, they are, just by them existing and moving around, and especially through their voice, they are emitting this really, really, really profoundly intense, dark goo of sorts, which, and it's really a harm. But it is an invisible harm that nobody theoretically sees it and perceives it, and thus it remains, unknown. But it's more debilitating, I would say, than the physical pain. If somebody would come and punch me physically, I would get over it in, half an hour, depending on the intensity of the punch. But with this energetic harm that it is being done consistently, it's just like, like you would have your body being smashed in a way with this goo of sorts that remains, that sticks to you. And then if one doesn't have a practice of energetically cleaning oneself, it just remains there and gets stuck to one's energetic body, and it's creating so much pain and so much disruption and so much confusion and so much doubt and so much feelings of unworthiness, of being nobody, being able, like being the worst of the worst. It's really intense. It's really debilitating. It's what creates the states of depression and like even going through suicide or something. It's really intense. And that's what people spew out of their mouths, this black energetic goo all the time. even the nice ones, even the ones that you see them in the supermarkets, you know, smiling to each other. Hey, how are you? You know, oh, I bought tomatoes, and you know, oh, what did you bought? You know, and I'm saying it with my tone, but their tone, like they are having this fake positive attitudes, and but if for the ones that they can perceive beyond the veil, one can immediately see the goo that is being spewed out and emanated out of them with all their positive, you know, apparent fake attitudes. So then you have the people which is like they are spewing out of this black goo all around. You can't go to a supermarket without being infiltrated with this stuff. It's like everybody in the city is freaking insane. It's just a city is just a parade of mad, insane individuals thinking they are alright and living a human life pretending nothing is wrong with being so unconscious of themselves and pretending nothing is wrong that, you know, this world has seen so much murder, so much rape, so much insanity, and that even in society right now, it's like this. It is even being said that the states of, you know, clinical depression and mental, you know, illnesses have reached peaks right now in USA and other, you know, apparent, you know, so-called well-developed countries. But they are just faking it and pretending all day long that everything is fine, although it's just clear that this entire reality is insane. So they are just faking it all the time, pretending that they are positive and nice, and they are praying to God that they help them, and they've, you know, God has helped them and their health has improved or whatever. They constantly spew out nonsensical, insane lies to themselves first and then to the others around. So then you have the insane individuals that one has to interact with in the city, even if it wants or not. Because if I just walk on the street in the city, I just hear their stupid pretense, and then I'm, without even being able to stop it, I'm just infiltrated with all that black goo. And that's what being in the city means. And then you have to live in those, you know, concrete buildings called apartments, or even if you live in a house, you're surrounded by all these concrete buildings. And all these buildings right now, they are, and especially the rooms, the interior, you know, painting on the walls, they are done with so many chemicals, and all these chemicals from the paints in the walls, we are breathing them, and again they are adding a layer of chemicals like toxicity to our body and makes us numb, and we can't think properly, and even our endocrinal system cannot function properly, our digestive system cannot function properly of all the chemicals that we are ingesting all day long, from pollution, from the, you know, paint, the chemical paint being put on the wall. And so there are so many factors. The chlorinated water, again, that's just toxic water, you know, being given to the population as tap water, and everybody showers with that toxic water, and it enters our body. And then you have the freaking toxic food from the supermarkets, which is just engineered to keep us stupid and unproductively, unable to think productively or being smart. Just most of the food is just engineered to keep us stupid, retarded, like literally mental retardees. And bodily, and our body cannot function properly because of this unwell or toxic food that we eat all day long. And some people eat 3 meals per day. It's like, I can tell you, like, if you manage to reduce your meals, you'll start feeling more healthy. If like I started feel more vital, much more vitality in my body after I started eating less. I started having much more mental energy and physical energy after I started eating less. So once per day is just more than enough. So that's one of the thoughts that I had for this recording. Just I came back from the city and there's actually no true solace that one can find in this world, even if one manages to stay in a much more secluded area like I might be able to be in right now. It's just one never truly gets away from the insanity of this place, but it's just a bit of solace, you know. It's just a bit more sane to be in a secluded area, away from people, away from the buildings and the noise of the cars and the heavily polluted air and the insanity of the nonsense of the people around. It's just a bit more solace, a bit of solace, I mean. The other thought that I'm having is like, it just appears more and more clear to me that the entire world is a charade. The entire world is a Truman Show, but a dark one, a really dark one. I'm far from being one of these beings that only see the dark side of things. I'm also seeing that I am one of the beings that I know that I've came here by my own will, and I came here with a purpose. I am one of those beings that I know I haven't been tricked to come here, nothing tricked me. And I know there is a purpose for this existence here. But this existence is hell. It's one of the most, you know, intensely challenging experiences one can go through, especially for the ones that are coming from the true existence, for the true beings that are here in this reality. Especially for these ones, this reality here is extremely excruciatingly painful. It's the toughest exercise one can imagine. But this reality is really dark. It's like I'm not even seeing 1% of it, and it's already extremely dark, even with the 1% that I'm seeing. And as much as I became more and more lucid, and as much as I made the effort to quiet my mind, the veil thinned, and I started to see. I really started to see. And I can tell you the vista is horror. It's like, this is far from being a reality of love and light. This is far from being a reality created by a benevolent God, in a way. Although, again, I'm far from saying that ultimately this reality has no purpose or meaning. I do believe, and I know. I just viscerally and intrinsically know, because I remember. I remember there was a purpose. I remember. But there is much that I do not know yet. And there is much that I do not remember. But I remember I came here with a purpose. I remember for sure. I came here with all the purpose. It was everything, my entire breath, my entire life. I came here with all of me. This was far from being a game. This was far from being, you know, like, oh, I'll just go into that reality and just have some experience to know myself, you know. Oh my God, I came here completely, my entire being dedicated to resolve something. It was something was needed here. And I came here with a full purpose for that thing which was needed. So I think ultimately I would say that this reality was constructed as an exercise at first, as a sort of like spiritual gym of sorts, where some type of muscles or skills are being exercised here. But I can tell you, just what it is being exercised at the highest of the highest of the highest of levels. It's unimaginable. It's like you have to be a spiritual superhero, just to put it lightly, to be able to truly ripe, let's say, reap the fruits of this spiritual exercise, which is being done right now. You have to be a spiritual superhero. And I believe, like I really truly know. So I'll just start saying what I know for real without hiding anymore. So I just feel there are only some beings here which are this type of spiritual superheroes, and the entire game, everything is created only for them. It's only they are, let's say, the focus of this exercise, nothing more, and no one else. And they are really limited beings, really a limited number of beings, and everything is done for them. Everything is an exercise for them, in a way. And ultimately, it might be only one single being for which this entire exercise is being played out. And I'm still feel to remain caution about mentioning more about this being, because I see some things about this being, but I still feel unconfident about speaking about it. So nothing is as it seems. Everything at first appears to be somewhat manageable if you look with the senses of perception, that the mundane senses of perception. With the mundane senses of perception, everything appears to be manageable in a way. Yeah, there is good in the world, but there is bad in the world, but there is also good in the world. And so with the mundane senses of perception, what the mundane mind believes is like, oh, we've been born here, to experience life with all of its good and all of its bad, and make, a sense out of it, and grow and develop and know ourselves or whatever. This is what the mundane human mind thinks, and this is what we have been indoctrinated to think. But the reality is much more terrible in actuality. The thing is that nothing ever happens. We never actually do anything in this physical reality. It's just a permanent state of death, permanent state of stagnation. Nothing actually happens. From the perspective of our true self, I mean, nothing happens. You don't gain anything. You never have more knowledge just by being in this place. This place can never give you true knowledge or more knowledge of yourself. No. This place has nothing to give to us. But at best, as I said, the way I see it currently, it offers the environment for us, for some of us, to exercise some, let's say, spiritual muscles. It just creates the environment, the proper environment for us to exercise some skills. This is why currently I see it as a sort of like spiritual gym of sorts. I think it's a sort of spiritual gym. You come and you exercise some freaking badass spiritual muscles here. There are many things that I'm seeing related to this place and what's currently happening. There are many thread lines, many levels of existence which coexist simultaneously. I feel somebody is asleep. Somebody is deeply asleep, and until this being wakes up, I just can sense and feel that this reality is mainly going to continue in the same way. Nothing is going to truly change until this being wakes up, but I'm wondering what exactly keeps this being asleep. Why is this being still asleep? And it seems like this being which is asleep, it is waiting for something. It is waiting for some other beings to achieve something before this quintessential being can wake up. Because I can sense that when this quintessential being wakes up, it's the end of the end. It's the end of this creation, this false version of creation with all of its levels. So it's the end of the entire experiment. It's the end of the entire exercise when this quintessential being wakes up. But this quintessential being hasn't yet awakened. And our actions, the actions of some of us, might be what influence the waking or not waking of this quintessential being. I think there were some agreements made of sorts that this being agreed that it is going to be here in this reality, sustaining this entire reality, until some of us, some of the beings here, are able to achieve a certain result. So this quintessential being gave itself and trusted its own life with these beings. And now these beings, the limited number of them, they are here in this reality and they have to achieve something together. And if they manage to achieve this thing together, they manage to achieve the thing which the entire experiment was created for, then finally this quintessential being can wake up. And when this being wakes up, it's gonna be a grand occurrence. It's gonna be a really grand thing. I don't think any of us can truly imagine what this truly means. And I think I can sense there is a timeline to this. There is a time involved in this. I think this being, how it was agreed, how we agreed in the beginning, is like, yeah, we are going to try to make it, we are going to try together to create this result that it was, we all of us agreed to be able to achieve it. But we set a timeline for ourselves as well. So something like, if we cannot achieve this result in this span of time or this span of occurrences, then this being is going to be freed. And this being is going to wake up. So in a way or another, this being is going to wake up. But I think it's going to make a lot of a difference if us here, we are able to achieve this result that we all agreed that we want to try to achieve it together. It's going to make a difference. Because if we achieve the result, a certain thing is going to be achieved for all, including for something really precious in the existence outside of this entire place. So something really precious there is going to have a lot of benefit if we are able to achieve this result together here. But even if we achieve it or not, this quintessential being is going to wake up. And I would give my entire breath here for us to be able to achieve this result together, because this would complete the entire purpose of this creation. Otherwise, this creation is going to just, be ended. It's going to end. And some of the purpose was already completed. It's like, because there were stages, and some stages were already completed in a way. This is why we are witnessing what we are witnessing right now. With, some of us started to truly remember more of who and what we truly are. Because some of the stages were completed. But there are still some, probably I would say even one more stage left. And we don't even know if we are able to complete this one. We just don't know. But if we manage to complete this last stage, then this being wakes up. And it's gonna be a grand occurrence, like unimaginable. And the entire thing is going to end, but in a grand way. It's like, it's gonna be really, really, I could call it victorious. But even if we do not manage to meet this last stage, this being is set to eventually wake up. This is how he designed it, this is how he agreed. We would have never condemned perpetually this being to be here and sustain this reality eternally through this entire terror that this being had to experience, because it experienced a lot of terror, a lot of torture, because this reality was torture. So we agreed on a set amount of time and some certain result. This is how my internal senses are telling me. This is why I could say like my internal memories are. We agreed on something which had a definite strategy, a definite purpose and a definite outcome to it. And if not, if we wouldn't have been able to achieve this together, then at a after some certain amount of time, this being would wake up and everything would end. So this is how I see things. And this is what my internal senses are telling me and remembering. So right now I have a paradoxical existence in a way. I just know there's rarely anybody in my life right now that I can truly speak to about this stuff. I have almost nobody. I am speaking to nobody, by the way, about this stuff right now. There's only me in my existence right here. And there's nobody that I can speak about this stuff. There's nobody that ever came to speak to me about this stuff, or to listen to me, or to just stay with me, to just freaking stay together and figure out what is this place. And so I can only be by myself and try to continue the best I can in this way. But I am completely on my own in this right now, at least. And I have been on my own mostly I've been on my own in the last 7 years. Although provided I've encountered beings which offered a lot of guidance, a lot of help, in their own unique ways. And they might not even know some of them, they were my guides. And there were really few, by the way. I could count them on a hand or less. So even with these beings, they were really few. So I'm here on my own. I know I can't try to speak with people from my immediate reality because It's futile. I've tried for years. It yields no true result. And even the most spiritual beings that I've encountered online, it's futile to try to talk to them as well. Most of them, they are either completely in confusion or ignorance, or they are created out of ignorance. So I can see that I'm trying to speak with them, but they seem like they understand, but I can see that they are on a completely different wavelength. It's futile with most of them. So I've been on my own so far, and it has been really hard, really hard in ways in which I can never truly even describe. And it's hard each day. It's really hard. It has been really hard. Okay, so I'll leave this recording to this. There's nothing, there is so much, there's always so much that I could talk about or add, but currently I feel to leave this recording to just this, and yeah.